The Buffalo Bills are ready to take on the Chiefs.
Although they're going to be missing a big piece of the puzzle.
And James Cook continues to cook. The Manchild Show with Boy Green Digital starts now.
Let's go! It's time for the talk to you. 'Cause Frank is born, it's all we're gonna do. And Boy Green is always on the scene. And we're gonna always bring to you live streaming. So get ready. Get ready, 'cause here they come.
All right. Good morning, everybody. Welcome. Manchild Show with Boy Green Digital. Talking Buffalo Bills. You see the lovely moniker around us. Today's broadcast brought to you by our friends at Bayberry Automotive, and we bring them in every week to talk Bills. Let's talk with our guy from Cover One, Anthony Prohaska. Good morning, Anthony. How are you?
I'm good. How are you?
Like the new show open?
What a
we're
banger.
jazzing things up now, man.
I do. I liked it a lot. I feel like, the graphics, the music, especially the music leading in right from the end of the graphics. It's a really
Bills
good deal.
training camp is heavily featured there. The
Mhm,
interview with Elijah Moore, Jets legend. Thank
Mhm.
you, Elijah. Appreciate that.
Jets
very
legend
much.
Elijah Moore, Browns legend Elijah Moore. Yeah.
Too bad. If we had seen you, we would have got you in a cameo. Like,
Oh,
we
yeah,
started
that's
doing these cool drops. Like, I don't know if you caught it, Anthony. Maybe, you check out our open a few times. It's available online if you want. And there's a shot in there. The gentleman who wrote the open, wrote the song part of the open, the audio part of the open, is my old bandmate, Nicky Lamangino. And
I saw that clip. I saw two people playing
in there. We snuck it in there like a little cameo. Like, what's that music thing doing in there with all that sports stuff? So it's kind
I
of cool.
saw that. I saw the looked like shiny blue and white attire, and then the guitars. And I was like that. And I did the same thing. I was like, what's that doing in there? And I zoomed in real quick, and then it went away. And I was like, oh, I gotta see.
So I think the next time we put together an open, we'll do one of these every so often, kind of refresh it.
Sure.
I think that we'll drop some cameos of some of our insiders. So, we might find an Anthony Prohaska shot in there somewhere in some action thing.
Where's Waldo?
Maybe we'll go out to, to your neck of the woods and film you dropping your daughter off at school or something. You'd be like, what? Where did they get that from?
It might be a little weird. But,
I would like that. And then it's like a series, in each week, the photos get more invasive or more like it's pictures
we're pointing you.
Or of me sleeping. And it's okay, this has gone too far. How are you in my house?
Where's the line? Yeah. What's going on there?
We'll turn into crazy Joe Davola for you from Seinfeld, start filming you everywhere.
Yeah.
There's a hair on my tongue, but you know about that, don't you, Jerry? Because
I used a telephoto lens.
Oh, that's good.
There's a hair, yes.
Crazy Joe Davola.
He's a great character.
Yeah,
all right, let's
terrifying.
talk Bills. What a week it is for Bills football. Obviously, a lot of hype. This one's in Buffalo, and it is the nemesis, the Kansas City Chiefs. The Bills have fared very well during the regular season in recent days against the Chiefs. But let's talk about the importance of this one. How big is this game? Again, it's regular season. I think the Bills care more about the postseason, but still, it's always good to beat the Chiefs.
Yeah, I think this one matters a bit more than I think the previous regular season ones, mainly because the Bills, again, they whooped Carolina in Carolina, but that didn't really do much for their stock, especially amongst the fan base and even potentially across league rankings and power rankings and media and narratives and all that stuff. The Chiefs have been on the rise since their ugly and slow start. So you want to keep pace with the Chiefs and stay ahead of them. So if the Bills beat them in this game, they'll be up by 2 in the loss column, and they'll have that head-to-head tiebreaker, which is awesome. And then you also want to keep pace probably with the Patriots, who have an easy schedule, and you want to be able to maintain with them and keep that record close. So that way, if you beat them later in the year, when you face them again, the division is potentially still up for grabs. And so I think there is a little more emphasis for the logistics of this individual season. Big picture. I don't think there's too much more. It's still very much like the Bills have beaten the Chiefs in the regular season. And it's awesome to do that, but it doesn't really carry the weight it did when they first started to do that in 2022 and 2023 and so on. It's become much more playoff focused, like you mentioned.
By the way, real classy by Manchild, right? So he just skips right to the Chiefs. The Bills had lost 2 in a row. They stop a mud hole in the Carolina Panthers, and not even a passing mention by Manchild that you guys smacked around the Panthers. Keep pounding on that booty. And look at Manchild just passed right over it. Real nice.
I'm
Real
just going to
nice.
circle back.
Okay. What do you think about that, huh? So the Bills, after losing a couple, and there's some fear, huh? Andy Dalton, Carolina. Could there be something here? There's obviously a ton of Panthers-Bills connections with Brandon Beane and Sean McDermott and everything. So I'm sure that game has extra special juice for them inside. And then to get off the schneid, come off the bye, and take care of business. I'm sure that's exactly what Bills Mafia was hoping the doctor ordered.
Yeah, I think, fans were happy to see them get back with another one in the win column, and it was largely a good win. I don't think it moved the needle too much for fans. I don't think fans, even though that Carolina had a winning record going into that game, I don't think they saw Carolina as like, oh, this is like a real test. I think for a lot of fans, it was very much like, oh, you should beat up on Carolina because they're not necessarily what their record showed. Things started out a little, kind of scary. Andy Dalton was throwing some dimes. The Bills' offense kind of sputtered a little bit after it started out hot on their opening drive, and Carolina moved the ball a bit. And then they got away from Rico Dowdle, and the game script went away from them, and Andy Dalton made several really stupid decisions, especially for like a veteran with as much experience as he has, and everything kind of snowballed from there. But yeah, it was good for fans, I think, to see this team win again, even though it was against a team that I don't think a lot of Bills fans respect or hold in high regard.
Well, Anthony, aside from getting a W, which you always want to get coming out of a bye, the other thing you want to do is get out healthy. But the Bills did not get out of this one healthy with Ed Oliver taking a big blow. So let's talk about that and what does that mean for the Bills going forward, particularly against the Kansas City Chiefs?
It sucks. Like, he's a huge piece to this team, and it's a shame because he's only played in 3 games this year. Well, technically like 2.5 with the Carolina game, but he was tremendous against the Ravens, even though the Bills defense got shredded in that game. He was good against Atlanta, even though the Bills defense got shredded for pretty much the entire first half in that game as well. And then he flashed again to start in the Carolina game. He has been such a consistent game wrecker this year in limited action. And so him being down, it hurts you, especially on a defense that doesn't have a lot of star power. They just have a bunch of like B+ guys in several spots. And so you lose one of those guys, it hurts you. And then on top of that, the injuries that they already have on the interior. Daquan Jones is still out. TJ Sanders is out. You're, calling up Jordan Phillips. You get Larry Ogunjobi back, but now you lose Oliver. So it's a position group where they couldn't really afford to have any more injuries, and they get an injury to their best guy at that position. And it's going into Chiefs week where you want to affect Mahomes. You want to affect the depth of the pocket. You want to be able to create penetration and also stymie the run and do everything you can. Losing a guy of Ed Oliver's caliber for this defense, and especially in this week, is an issue.
Anthony, could a serious injury like this motivate the Bills? The NFL trade deadline is conveniently coming up on Tuesday, November 4th. Could the Bills go, hey, man, every year that we have Josh Allen, we think we have a chance to win the Super Bowl, and we can't waste any years. Ed Oliver goes down. That stinks, but we need to now go get the best possible replacement option we can to try to push our chips in the middle of the table to win this one, especially in an AFC. It seems pretty wide open.
I don't think it would be crazy. I think there's a non-zero chance of them looking at defensive tackle. Especially with, there's a chance that Oliver could come back come playoff time. We're still week to week with Daquan Jones and then TJ Sanders being on IR. If there's any like longer term issues to Sanders or Daquan and it becomes that type of deal, I think I could see them kind of being more willing to look at defensive tackle. Because you can't have Jordan Phillips seeing regular season snaps for you that much, like him being in the rotation on the interior. And if they're top of the depth chart guys are going to be out longer, I could see them maybe taking a flyer. It's just tough because if you're looking at it going forward, like Ed's coming back next year in theory, you've got Deion Walker, you've got TJ Sanders, but then also like Daquan Jones is a UFA next year. Larry Ogunjobi was only here on a 1-year deal, so maybe they acquire someone this year to help 2025, but could also be someone that is on, a 2 or 3 year deal, and you look to pencil them in for 2026, given that there are some guys that aren't returning right now under contract.
Talking with our Bills insider, Anthony Prohaska, cover one, all things Buffalo Bills. Big game this week, Sunday, in the 4 o'clock window. It'll be definitely the primary game. The other couple of games that are going on are not all that sassy, so there will be a lot of eyes on this one. We're getting Nance and Romo, so a lot of Jim references, which I always like since my name's Jim. But listen, let's talk a little bit about the fact that Josh Cook is having the year that he's having.
James Cook, I'm
sorry.
Josh Cook is his other brother.
I know. James Cook, I said it in the intro there, Cook is cooking. I mean, wow, he has turned out some amazing games. And if you're a fantasy football player, well, you're loving James Cook these days because he's among the leading rushers in the NFL and in fantasy points. So let's talk about James Cook. And how surprised are you that he's playing this well so far this season?
Him raising his game again isn't all too surprising. I think he was still on an upward trajectory, which is why I thought I didn't really want to pay him as much as he got, but I thought he deserved it from someone on the open market. And a lot of it was because I thought he was going to continue to ascend. I don't know what his ceiling is. I think he's getting closer to it. But yeah, last year and this year, he's continued to improve with his contact balance, his physicality, yards after contact, but he hasn't lost any juice. He hasn't lost any of the vision, the explosiveness. And he's just become such a fluid runner, setting up his blocks, being patient, and then being able to just change gears in an instant once he clears the first level of the defense, being able to separate from linebackers, separate from defensive backs. And he fits so well with what they are trying to do on offense with the different schemes that they run, gap scheme stuff, zone stuff, weak side, strong side, outside, inside. He's become really a complete runner for them. And the offensive line cooked as well against the Panthers. James Cook averaged 7.7 yards before contact per rush against the Panthers, which is just absolutely unheard of. The Bills' whole line was creating displacement left and right, and they have a good group up front. It fits tremendous with James Cook's running style, and the run game matters a lot to him.
Now, let me ask you this as we're talking, Chiefs Bills. Dan Orlovsky for ESPN says that this is a must-win game for Buffalo. Does Anthony Prohaska of Cover One agree?
No, I don't think so. I don't really think there's any regular season game that is must-win unless it's like, if you lose, you're not making the playoffs. If you win, you're in. This team, in an ideal world, it would be great for the Bills to have the 1 seed and everything to work out tremendously. But we've seen them lose at home in the playoffs to the Chiefs, to the Bengals. Yes, they had injuries and some different circumstances against the Chiefs and, even against the Bengals to a degree. But, it's not like the home field is the end-all, be-all. This team has had a ton of regular season success. I think at this point, the goal is get to the playoffs and be as healthy as you can in the playoffs, whether you're a wild card, whether you won the division, whether you're the 1, the 2, the 3, the 4, you just need to be in the playoffs and be healthy. I think this game matters for, just kind of, I think, eyeballs and, external narratives and coverage. And it would be nice for the Bills to get a win against a good team, considering a lot of their wins have not come against quality opponents and that whole narrative. And, again, how they lost to the Pats and the Falcons. But I don't think this is a must win for them. Everything is really just focused on the playoffs, and any regular season game isn't going to be a must win for them at this point right now.
Talking with Anthony Prohaska, our Bills insider. Today's broadcast brought to you by our friends at Bayberry Automotive. Let's just take 30 seconds to learn a little bit more about our friends at Bayberry, who are expanding, my friends. I'll tell you about it in just a sec.
Integrity is a word that some people just throw around in life. But at Bayberry Automotive, integrity is everything. Integrity of their mechanics, who are all experienced and certified. Integrity in the work they perform, with nothing but 5-star reviews from satisfied customers on Google. Integrity that goes along with family, a family-run business that treats you like one of their own. Integrity in everything. Bayberry Automotive. BayberryAutomotive.com.
Located on Route 57 across from Bayberry Plaza, the premier choice for auto repair in Liverpool.
And now also located on Morgan Road in Liverpool, just about 3 miles from their current location. So if you are in the Liverpool area, anywhere in the Syracuse area, go see our friends at Bayberry, who now have a second shop. And I'm told the second one is bigger, and we're going to check it out next week. The grand opening is on Monday, boy. Great. Monday.
Wow, I can't wait. Now, I'll say this.
We take will be up, as they say. Go
Well,
ahead.
we take a page out of the Bayberry playbook. You just heard it in that read that they treat everyone like one of their own. We treat Anthony like one of our own every Thursday here on the program. It's nice, and
I
I
hope he
see.
feels the same.
Yeah, I hope he does feel the same. And I look at Anthony; he's slowly building that thing. Look at that!
Yeah,
Boo!
look at this.
Scary
Those
by little.
Halloween action. Yeah,
jack-o'-lanterns.
yeah,
I've got
he's building it.
I've got a bunch of stuff down there that needs to get hung up, so there will be
Okay.
stuff there and
Mm.
probably up there and somewhere on this side. I got to finish everything.
Coming
Yes.
together.
Slowly
Okay.
A
but surely.
blank slate, no longer a blank slate.
Nice
Very
canvas.
good.
Yeah.
No reference intended. No, nothing
No.
intended there.
No.
All right, let's talk trade deadline.
Inside joke. I like it a lot.
You know, a lot of rumors out there about if the Bills are going to do something at the trade deadline, that it might come at the receiver position. And I wonder, and we've heard names like Chris Olave, now Rashid Shaheed seems to be the hot name if you buy into what's going on there, with New Orleans obviously not in a great position this year and maybe looking to pick up some draft picks. So will the Bills trade for a receiver? And does what happened last time around with Amari Cooper kind of make it a little less, appetizing for the Bills to do this, because they tried this once, didn't work, I mean, you got to learn from your mistakes. Was that mistake a learning experience, or should they go out into this market and go find and game hunt themselves a big time receiver? Let's talk about it.
I think what happened with Cooper is always just kind of like buyer beware. If you're putting a lot of your eggs into a certain basket and that basket breaks, I mean, Von Miller's a great example. They put all their eggs in the Von Miller basket and he goes down on Thanksgiving and everything kind of falls apart that year defensively when they needed it. Cooper was good for them. He was just hurt. And I also think a lot of the conversation around Amari Cooper, a lot of people were looking at what he was the year before the Bills acquired him. So everybody was looking at like 2023 Amari Cooper and how he's lighting the world on fire. And if you watch the 2024 tape, he was not that guy. I think the Bills very much knew who he was, and he provided value when he was healthy. He had a couple games where he mattered a lot, a couple great catches, good routes. He did what he was brought there to do. He was just hurt. And I don't think that's necessarily look what happened with Cooper. He got banged up. I think it's more of, you could bring a guy in that you need and he could go get hurt. Maybe that scares you off of Chris Olave a little bit because of his concussion history and the injury history. And so maybe it pushes your chips more towards Shaheed or another receiving option. I do think they'll make a move at the deadline. I think it'll likely be for a wide receiver just because there are other bigger needs. I think corner is too muddy with, Hairston and Trey. And I would love that. I just don't know. Like, what safety are you going to get right now that isn't – teams don't just trade away safeties that are, like, good safeties, even teams that are, like, bad. It's just not one of those positions that really gets moved. I also don't think there's a ton of high-end safety play. Like, the type of safety the Bills need is, like, hey, are the Falcons going to trade you Jesse Bates? No, they're not. Like, are the Ravens going to give you Kyle Hamilton? No, they're not. And so I could see potentially a move there, especially if Taylor Rapp is out very, very long term. But, Poyer played decently coming in. They're giving Jordan Hancock some looks. I think they're going to try and platoon that spot. I could see a move there happen. I just think it's not likely given what the market looks like. And so I think receiver is likely the spot. And I do expect some kind of move there.
Yeah, because I think about it, Anthony, and I think that, again, it's not just one team, excuse me, you're trying to beat in the Kansas City Chiefs. But there is this thing if you have to get over a hurdle. And right now you look at how Mahomes has survived all these problems and injuries at receiver, and now they're kind of back. Rashee Rice is now returned. He's given them another dimension. They've got the burner and Worthy. All of a sudden, it's all starting to come together for the passing game of Kansas City. And the Bills have to keep up. They cannot fall behind here if they want to get over that hump and go capture that first Super Bowl. So it's almost like I think they almost have to make a move, not that they prefer to make a move. I think they have to make a move. Give me your thoughts on that. Do they?
Well, Lurch, they made a move. They activated Gabe Davis. Gabe Davis is back, baby. Practice squad up. So it's there's a move, right, Anthony? Huh?
Yeah, it kind of counts as a move. They need something that will, and everybody and their mother's talking about it now. It was one of my biggest fears going into the offseason. The lack of verticality in this offense, the lack of downfield presence, however you want to label it. They need more of that. They need more field stretching capability. They need more of a vertical game, not even just for the passing game itself and like chunk plays and explosives. you got to be able to keep defenses from creeping up too much to stop the run. Like the run is what stirs the drink for this Bills offense. That's what they are. And if good defenses, I mean, I don't even want to go back to that Patriots game, but good defenses in general, especially ones with good corners, they're not going to fear what you have on the outside. And they're just going to be like, cool, let's just stack the hell out of the box and dare their guys on the outside to beat us because we don't think they can. And you got to prove that you have some kind of threat out there to keep, you know what, okay, let's go with a too high structure. You know what, we are going to go one-on-one, but that's fine. The Bills have a guy who can beat that one-on-one. They have to have some kind of threat on the outside and some sort of threat deep as well in order to keep defenses honest enough where that run game isn't just facing loaded box after loaded box after loaded box, because then they're going to have to go spread and try and, win through the air, and that is not how this team is built. They are not, I don't care that Josh Allen's the MVP and he's a mutant. They're not built to throw it 30 to 40 times a game.
So who's your target, Anthony? If you had a target out there for the Bills, who makes sense to the Bills?
Shaheed is the one for me. Yeah. Just with what I think he's going to cost, the speed, the vertical presence, and I think he's a better route runner than he gets credit for. He can use that speed and snap it off and create some separation underneath and in the intermediate. I think he answers a lot of questions for this team.
Yeah. By the way, what would it cost for Rashid Shaheed, which is a fun name to say?
It is. It's also a tongue twister. It's hard to say multiple times. I also love that he's number 22, but Ray Davis is 22, so I don't know if he's going to be able to keep that if he were to come to the Bills.
Could be an issue.
I would think, yeah, right. I would think it would be somewhere in the range of a day 3 pick. I feel like you're looking at a 5th or a 6th. Maybe it goes as high as a 4th if there's really kind of a fight for him, considering he is apparently being courted by a multitude of teams. If you believe the rumors, but I would think somewhere in the range of a day 3 pick, which I think is doable and something that this team could use this year. And then you go into the offseason, you retool, and you kind of figure out where to go from there.
Now, Anthony, what's the attachment to 22? That's my number. So I have to dare to inquire. I talk about always when it's the 22nd of the month, it's going to be a great day. And 22 is my number. So is 22 your number too? What's with 22?
No, I just think it's cool. It's cool for a receiver. It just looks, I think it's like a good looking number, though, especially for the Saints, like their bigger type of numbers and the way they're like, I'm big into jersey aesthetics and uniforms. One of the big things, not to give the, bag on the Jets any more than they already are. I like the Jets jerseys. I hate nameplates, the tiniest font that they just squeezed. I hate that. Like, I'm going to give me like the 90s Steelers with the big numbers and the big nameplate stretched out across the back, like what the like what the Broncos did last week with their throwbacks. Give me those big nameplates, the big font. I hate the small little squish names like the Jets have. The Patriots have that a little bit. Like Travion Henderson's name is like,
what's going on?
Oh yeah, that's weird.
Size 8 font on Microsoft Word. I hate it. But yeah, I think the 22 just looks good as a number, and I think it's cool for a receiver because you don't really see that a lot.
Oh, what about, so you're a jersey aficionado, which we love, so how couldn't you? What do you think of the Steelers throwback jerseys from week 8?
Mina Kimes put up, whatever Mina Kimes put up, she compared it to not like the yield traffic sign, but a yellow traffic sign with like traffic going in multiple directions, and that's all I see now. I did not like them. I also don't like matte helmets. Like matte finish is not something I like. I did dig the yellow on the helmet. I thought that was cool. But the jersey, no, it was just too busy. There was too much going on. I didn't like the way it presented and looked. Yeah, they went. And especially too, knowing that like they've got to just wear your 70s Steelers uniforms or the 90s Steelers. Just go back. Yeah, it looks like it literally looks like there's some traffic deal going on behind the 8 there for Rodgers. Like it,
and that like weird soccer-esque patch going on there too. Yeah,
I think the patch is cool. I'm down for patches, but yeah, the patch is too busy with like the road marking of the 8. And I think the yellow helmet's cool, but you can see the matte finish. I don't like it. Also, just with Rodgers, he's got a huge like Marvin the Martian helmet.
Yeah, he does. He's got a weird helmet.
Weird aesthetic going on. Yeah, I understand what they were going for, and I'm a fan of the yellow and black. That's cool. But yeah, this version, and then even you got the little half stripe on the outside, like in the torso. Like, what are we even doing there? It's
singular bars. I'm not sure what's going on there. And what about this one? Which one did you prefer?
So we go from the up and downs here to the let's
right. So that's what I was going to say on this next one. So we have this Steelers jersey we just saw, or the one from a couple years ago, the Bumblebee.
These are also terrible. These are also terrible. They're terrible. They look they look like they're made of like potato sack material. Like
Yes.
they're just like jerseys from the 50s that are heavy and hot and they don't breathe well.
Yeah.
Yeah, these are absolutely terrible.
They're wearing cotton.
Yeah.
Another Seinfeld reference.
I
That's
remember.
right.
I
That's
can't
it.
resist.
The players
Love
are all
that
talking about how
episode.
breathable the fabric is. And they're able to sway freely. Yeah.
It's a good one.
Did you like the mustard LA Chargers uniforms, Boy Green? I don't know how quickly you can grab a picture of those, but that mustard yellow. We love the powder blue. I don't have it behind me today, but that powder blue is one of the all-time great uniforms. Really pops with the yellow and the white. But this mustard variety that the LA Chargers came out with, I was like, oh boy.
I thought it was too much. I thought the yellow was too much. The jersey on the pants and them doing like both was too much. I'm okay if they want to pair it with the white or pair it with the powder blue. Yeah, doubling it up.
Went all in.
Yes, they went too yellow. Yeah, it was too much for me. I like the navy blue ones the week before. And I would take that yellow jersey with some white pants. I would take the yellow jersey with a white jersey or powder blue, whatever. Yeah, but it's too.
I'm gonna be honest.
Right.
All the Chargers decisions, the powder blues are beautiful. To your point, the dark blues, which are the old school Chargers that we just saw recently, I love those ones.
Yep.
These ones, while it's not my favorite of all the Charger ones, all the Chargers ones look sexy. I don't know if it's a West Coast thing. I don't know if it's I'm yearning for it or whatnot, but yeah, Chargers, beautiful, beautiful brand, beautiful logo.
It's pop. But what I always worry about when you're wearing bright jerseys like this, and I used to think about it in college basketball too, when Baylor would roll out those all bright lime green guys, was, now you can't sneak behind the defense. It's like, whoa, it's just like a flash. You're like, you can't miss him. There he is. It's like a spotlight. It's just too much. It's so bright.
I would if they're going to commit to more of these, the yellow on yellow, I want them to make their field yellow and just go for complete camouflage.
Boise State.
Yeah, just give me the full
yellow
commitment.
on yellow. Ooh.
Yeah, you would not be able to see a thing. It would be one giant, like, everybody would the opponents would just be doing the eyes wide the whole time, trying to see whatever the hell was going on. Yeah, I want full commitment. If they're going to do those more, let's make the field yellow. Maybe, we'll keep the end zones blue or white, and let's just go full camouflage, full commit, Boise State style.
All right. Let's go back one more time before we get out of here to this big game this week. It's the Bills. It's the Chiefs. We've talked about the importance of the game. Let me ask you this, Anthony. I never ask you to do this, but keys to victory. What do the Bills need to do if they're to take down the Chiefs in Buffalo this weekend?
They have to be able to run the football on offense. They have to establish it early, and it can't just be, used to set up the pass. They have to be able to move the ball on the ground. Traditionally, through running back carries, ideally James Cook. But if Allen gets involved with scrambles, anything, they have to move the ball on the ground, starting, from the traditional manner. Defensively, they need to be able to keep Mahomes in the pocket. They have to limit what he can do with his legs, not just as a scrambler and runner, but as a scrambler who then finds guys open with his arm, which he continuously does. And then also tying into that too, they're going to have to play more man coverage because Mahomes is just shredding anything zone related, which he has done for a lot of his career. He's so good pre-snap and kind of knowing where he wants to go already. The Bills have been really poor in their spot drop zone coverage stuff. They were a little better against Carolina, but because they had some more kind of vision drop and some match elements to it. But I really think you have to challenge Kansas City. And this is a game, I think Christian Benford hasn't had the year that he's wanted, but he's still a very good corner. You put Benford on Rashee Rice, and this is why you got Max Hairston. You put Max Hairston on Hollywood Brown. You put Max Hairston on Xavier Worthy, and you go press jam all day against these guys, and you beat the hell out of them. And if they beat you and they put up 30, fine. But I think you have to play an aggressive game against Kansas City defensively. And again, if they beat you, you tip your cap, but you can't just sit back in zone and let them kind of dink and dunk you to death, or because the Bills aren't going to get beat over the top. No jinx. Like if anything, their safeties are too deep, which is creating all this space at the second level and between the second and third. So they're going to put a cap on everything. And then within that too, got to be able to tackle, especially against the Chiefs guys are all about yards after catch with Rice and Worthy and Brown, and even getting the ball to guys like Brashard Smith out of the backfield. So it's a lot of things that defensively the Bills have struggled with this year. So they got to be sound in coverage, particularly from a man aspect, take it to Kansas City a bit. They got to tackle, got to keep Mahomes in the pocket, be able to not only get pressure, but get home and maintain rush lane integrity. And then don't let Kansas City start to run the ball at all. If Kareem Hunt goes off in this game, you should be ashamed of yourself. he gets 3 yards and nothing more most of the time because he has no legs left. You cannot let that run game get going.
Yeah, and it looks like Pacheco may not be available for this game. We saw that shot he took on the knee. I know he was up and dancing around afterwards, but it does. Early reports here have not been good, so we'll see.
He's supposed to be week to week with an MCL sprain, they say.
I think he'll end up with missing a couple of weeks. But Anthony, I mean, everybody that watches this game, myself included, wants to see a shootout. It basically sounds from your keys to victory that that's not what Buffalo wants at all, because I want to see 45-44. Give me the old South Ken Stabler matchup or something like that, you know?
No, yeah, I mean, the Bills can put up 30 points relatively easily. Like, they've done that. They did that all pretty much through 2024. They did it a couple times this year, but it's really more of how many explosives are they generating in the run? You know, because Cook can break off a house call in almost any time, but then can you tie that into some shot plays and play action? Can you get some chunk plays in the pass? Kansas City is going to come out and they know that, hey, the Bills are kind of struggling to throw the ball a bit. We're confident and comfortable with our corners. I could see Spags just coming out and being like, they're not running the ball against us. Like, Spags' thing previously against the Bills when they were rolling was, I'm not going to let Stephon Diggs beat us. And they would double Diggs and bracket him, which is why Gabe Davis, balled out. Dawson Knox would have big games, right? These other guys, because they were committing resources to Diggs. Spags is going to try and take away what you do best. What the Bills offense does best is the run game. And so it'll be, how efficient can they be? How explosive can they be offensively? And yeah, I don't think this Bills offense wants to get into a shootout with the Chiefs, especially like you mentioned earlier, them starting to get healthier at the weapons position and just knowing what they've got in Rice and Brown and Worthy and even Kelsey and just even, Juju a little bit. They can put up points in a hurry. I don't think the Bills want to get into that track meet.
Yeah, it's a fascinating world when Juju, I know he's not the guy he once was, is your number 4.
Yeah, that's a good number 4.
Yeah,
like that's super solid.
He can hurt you. He's a KG vet, and he can get open in the middle of the field, and he can even get some yards after the catch. So you're absolutely right to say it. All right, it's going to be a whopper. All right, we'll see. Hopefully it's as good as we hope it will be, and we'll be talking all about it next week, hopefully from a Bills winning perspective. Anthony Prohaska, Cover One. Thanks as always, my friend.
Thank you for having me. Enjoy the rest of your day.